Hello and welcome, everyone. Whether you're with us live right now or you're watching the replay, we're excited to be here with you. And it's our privilege and our pleasure to be speaking today with Shahila Perumalpillai, who is the head of equity and inclusion at De Beers Group. Welcome, Shahila.
Hi, Atu. Thanks so much for having me.
We absolutely are grateful that you could make this time. We're so honored to have extended our partnership with De Beers Group for a further 3 years, expanding the reach of our programs to cover all 4 of the countries where De Beers Group discovers diamonds, and placing a greater focus on supporting women and girls to pursue careers in sustainability-related fields. So for everyone that's listening, lean in and listen closely because we're going to share more about this transformational vision and the premier opportunity that we have open right now. Having celebrated Nelson Mandela International Day just yesterday, it's especially relevant that we'll be talking about the sustainability aspect of the talent pipelines we're building in order to create a better future for all. So please feel free to comment on whatever platform you're watching on and ask questions, which we'll see as we go along and we'll hopefully have amazing answers for. So to start off, Shahila, please may I ask you to just share with our audience a bit about your own personal journey and what has led you to do such impactful work that you do today?
Yeah, sure. I think what I've always done through the course of my career over the last 20 years is really to follow the things that I'm interested in and the things that give me an opportunity to learn and to work with people that I can really learn from. And that's how I'm really in this space, coming from a background in social anthropology and development, and into social impact management, and then into community development, skills development, livelihood development, and then also into the inclusion and diversity space. And it's really given me the opportunity to work with some great partners and learn from some great people, such as you guys at WomHub. It's been incredible 3 years so far. I'm really looking forward to the next.
That is so amazing. You inspire us every day with the work that you do. I see that we have some ladies joining us. So welcome, ladies. Welcome, Yolanda and Wandile. Thank you for joining our conversation. So just to continue on, we do share a similar passion with you on engaging and developing girls and women in STEM. That would be science, technology, engineering, and manufacturing, which is also a really big part of the Building Forever 2030 goals that De Beers Group has. Could you provide a bit more context to our audience on what the goals encompass and how they have been informed and what actually inspired them?
The Building Forever framework for us, it's got 4 pillars: leading ethical practices across the industry, partnering for thriving communities, protecting the natural world, and accelerating equal opportunity. I think really what this represents for De Beers is a shift into something which is really forward-looking. I think we've worked for over the last few decades with our partners in our producer countries on topics which are important to both of us, related to health, related to economic development and skills development. But what we've really done in the Building Forever framework was try to think about, actually, is what we're doing enough to create the impact and transformation that we need and that our communities need and that our partners need as well. And so to have a little bit of a longer term, forward-looking set of goals, not just reflect on what it is we've achieved already, but actually reflect on, are we pushing forward to where we all want to be in 10 years' time, and setting ourselves up for where we want to be even beyond that time frame. So that's really what Building Forever encompasses, is a holistic approach covering those 4 pillars, and in a way where we can also look at how do those different areas support each other. So what we're doing here in this space around accelerating equal opportunity with our goals around engaging 10,000 young women in STEM, how does that also link to what we need to do in skills development? How does that link to how we want to move forward with biodiversity and carbon neutrality as well? So I think that's the opportunity piece, and we've developed that with our partners, understanding what it is that's important to our stakeholders, and what are the key areas that we need to go beyond it, as I said, to sort of set ourselves and our partners up for being thriving and successful beyond 2030.
Wow, that is truly amazing. And I love how forward-thinking De Beers Group is in actually incorporating sustainability in all aspects of the supply chain. So we're really excited about the 3-year extension that we have in our partnership with De Beers Group. And it will see our programs expanded beyond Southern Africa to reach students in Canada and the UK, as well as beyond just university students to include vocational and skilled trades. So what have you seen to be the biggest challenges for women in relation to gender parity, diversity, and inclusion across these countries? And how can we, coming into those spaces, really help to empower them?
I mean, that's a big question, isn't it? I mean, but look, I mean, I think there's two sides to this. One is, I think that there are things very much in common across those countries. So looking at Southern Africa, but also looking at Canada, looking at the UK as well. And I think an area we talk about quite a lot, right, is the need to sort of challenge stereotypes, and kind of create that, create an environment where young women, young people see, what their opportunities can be, and then to also provide a pathway for them to access those opportunities. And I think where we started with Women was focused in the school space and in the undergraduate space, and now we're building on that, so taking that to other geographies, as you mentioned, into Canada and into the UK. But we're also then building out that systemic support that we're providing. So how do we support women within our organization? And how do we support those women that are going into areas where women really are underrepresented, so into like the technology sector, right? And I think those are the pieces where we want to get more diverse perspectives, shaping what those futures are going to be like. But we really recognize the need to have a systemic approach. There wasn't sort of just one area which was going to solve this. We're working on these elements in parallel to provide those different stages for people to see their pathway along. So I think the challenging stereotypes piece is key. I think also there being the right culture internally. So that's something, that we're also really working on. We see those challenges where there might be young women studying STEM, but do they then stay in STEM related careers? Do they build STEM related businesses? What are the challenges there? Is there the right sort of environment for women to really thrive? And I think you see those things in common across those geographies. And not to contradict myself, but I am slightly going to contradict myself. What we're also seeing, though, is that within each of those countries, women are different, right? So having a better understanding of the experiences of young people, the colleagues in our organization, what is it actually that their experience day to day is, and what are the differences for different women in the organization is also really important in helping us to understand what are the barriers that people are facing and what are the things that we need to have in place to really make those connections and make those stages work for people. So I hope that helps. It's sort of like there is a consistency there, but also the importance of actually getting into the detail and understanding that every woman is also not the same.
Wow. I see here Zoe says the systemic approach. I love that, Shahila. Indeed, it was quite a big question to ask, especially given the different kinds of countries that we are working in. But I think you answered that really well. And it also very much aligns with what we have here at WomHub, where we're igniting the whole ecosystem from girls, very young girls, to women within the industry and women entrepreneurs. So I think we're really very aligned with our vision and how we can actually help women in these industries. So that's really amazing. So it's been absolutely fulfilling to be building on that work as a project manager on some of the programs myself throughout the partnership that we've had in addressing these challenges. So from your perspective, what have been the most significant highlights and results that you've seen from the programs, in particular the Southern Africa Fellowship that we've been running for the last 3 years with De Beers Group?
I think what has been great for me is actually the learning that we've had in this last few years. And, clearly we all know that with the COVID health impacts, but also the lockdown impacts, none of us is sort of really existing in the same space actually as Atu, when we started the partnership with women. And what's been actually, I think, incredible is the experimentation and learning that we've done with the program to pivot from something face-to-face into something virtual, and maintain, though, that content in a way that is so engaging for people. And I remember one of the things that really came through as being important as we were looking at how to shift in that COVID period was wellness and connections are so important to people. And having that community that people were then able to get through the fellowship, having that information, not only getting the training and the coaching, not only on innovation and leadership and employability, like all of that good stuff, but also on wellness. And I think one of the things that I've really seen, women just so strong on iterating is let's get the feedback. Let's ask people what it is that they want, and let's build those improvements into the program for next time. And so that learning piece and that continuous improvement element, I think, has been hugely impactful. The extent, actually, that's been the enabler for us to extend the program geographically, right? Because we hadn't have tried those different models. We wouldn't have a model which we could then look at, okay, maybe that will work in Canada. And then we wouldn't have a model where maybe you can say, oh, well, maybe we can see how that plays in the UK, and how do we make those connections in that wider network, right? So I think actually that experimentation in very challenging circumstances, really listening to young people and what it was that they wanted, so that the program responded to that and had really good levels of engagement, was key. And doing that in the school space as well. And we saw, in that first year of COVID, we really had quite a slowdown in terms of the number of school girls that we were able to engage through the program. But then as, we did the learning and we understood what would be different mechanisms to engage them more effectively, we actually saw those numbers increase, much more quickly than we would have expected. And so I think for me, it is, that the learning, the openness to be shaped by, the young people that we're trying to support. And then how that has enabled us to do more than we thought that we would. And now I think in that first phase of the program, we've engaged sort of more than 2,300 young people through the program, which is incredible. But it's not only the number, it's that process, and it's that wanting to be shaped by the people that the program is supporting, which I really have found really impactful and want to take into lots of other places.
Wow, thank you so much for that insight, Shahila. We always say here at WomHub that feedback is a gift. So even within our office, we practice a lot of feedback, and so that translates even into our programs, because we want to offer the best kind of program for what the need is at the time. And I would have to agree. I think looking at COVID and the challenges that we had there, but being able to actually see the opportunity and expand. And for example, with Southern Africa Fellowship, we were able to reach even more girls and students than we could have before. So it really has been a fun journey with Tapia's group, and really grateful for you allowing us to have that space to experiment with us, which just makes our partnership even more rewarding. So I see Naomi says, such a powerful vision and partnership. Thank you, ladies, for sharing your insight and inspiration. Thank you so much for joining, Naomi. Yolanda says, thank you so much for believing in young people. Keep up the good work, Shahila. So you're getting some amazing compliments there in the chat. So that being said, we're actually really thrilled to be opening our applications for the Southern Africa Fellowship. If you've been on social media today, you would have seen the call for applications go out. The opportunity is now open for women students in engineering and technology in Botswana, Namibia, and South Africa to apply for this opportunity. So do just visit our website for more information. But from Shahila, your perspective, why do you think it's important that these women engineers apply for this opportunity?
What I've really seen for the people through the fellowship is how their confidence and self-belief and this community piece really builds. So I think if anyone sort of has any doubts, if something's for them, you know, then working through what is on offer through the fellowship, actually, we've seen, you know, from the feedback that is really effective for people. And I think it's also bringing together those young women from across that Southern African space, from Namibia, South Africa, Botswana, as also a support group, as well as the support you guys provide through the women's team. So, you know, I think why it's important is what I've seen is that it helps people to not feel like they're going through any of these things alone. Coming out of an education setting and trying to think about a role, trying to think about a job, that's a new way of being. That's not easy, you know, and but that's okay. And that's where this concept, I think, of fellowship actually is great. So I think it's also about kind of giving yourself the opportunity to have that support network. You know, why not? Why try and do everything by yourself? You don't have to. It is hard, and here's a program that can support. So I think for me, that, you know, that's why it's important, because I think that wellness element, looking after each other, those are things that are really important and valuable to us. And here's an opportunity to take part in it.
I love that. Community is a really big part of our growth, right? I actually see a comment from Hulisani, who is one of our fellow alumni from last year. She says, it's been amazing to be in a space where my expectations were considered and met. Thank you, ladies, for such a beautiful opportunity. Thank you so much, Hulisani, for being a part of the fellowship and for engaging. We absolutely loved having you. I do see a question just come in from Mambato. She asks, thank you for this opportunity to participate. I would like to know if there's a program supported by De Beers Group specifically for diamond traders.
So I think certainly through in different countries, we will have different programs. And so in Botswana, we have the Diamond Academy, and that supports in the midstream of the business people coming in to the trading part of our business quite specifically. So I think that those are sort of the main channels through. In terms of a wider program, we do have different resources available through the Institute of Diamonds for access to training around diamonds more broadly. So we've got a few resources that are there and that are accessible. They do look a little bit different in each of the producer countries, but those are things that are available.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I hope your question was answered, Nombato. All right. So going forward, we aim to place a greater emphasis together on future focused sustainable development topics such as renewable energies, which is very big right now, and climate solutions. Would you like to give our audience some insight into the scope of your global vision with regards to these topics?
Yeah, no, thanks, Atu. I think this is a really critical area for us in that we really want to be working in our producer countries on supporting what we can see with that appetite and that drive that we can see that exists around green economy. But it's got to be in a renewable energy transition and with green economic development. And we know that those are pieces that take time to build. So we've got to keep the people in anything that is green, right? And that's one of the things that's absolutely a priority for us. So I think, Atu, as you'd mentioned, a big part of what we want to do in this next phase of the program is also link from a skill side and from a career path side and STEM, that STEM piece, which is so critical to things like that renewable energy transition and green economic development. It's got to be linked to that skills piece too. And so that's going to be something that we're doing more of in this program, is to build in some of that understanding, introduce people to some of the partners that we're working with in that space, so that so that people can see those different pathways that exist. As we talked about right at the beginning, about what are the right spaces, where do people see themselves, where do people see the opportunities. We really want to build some momentum around those opportunities, and especially for young women, those opportunities are being part of that renewable energy transition, part of building a green economy, which really also delivers for communities.
Wow, that is really amazing. I think green economy is such a buzzword here in South Africa, given all the load shedding we've been going through. So the timing is absolutely perfect and in need at this point. So do you have any final thoughts or wisdom you would like to share with us before we finish off this really amazing, informative session?
Thanks, Atu. I mean, I think it's really just that we know that now is not the time really to dial back on this around, supporting young women to find their ways and find their career paths. I think what we saw, and which is why we wanted to do that experimenting right through the COVID period, was actually there was a chance that we could go a bit backwards. And we know for our own perspectives, for De Beers, we're looking to, as part of that Building Forever framework, as part of what we want to achieve in accelerating equal opportunity, we want to deliver equal opportunity for everyone, right? And as part of that, achieve gender parity across our workforce and in leadership. So we know if that's going to happen, we need to invest in the pipeline and in the talent. And we know, though, that it's not just for us. It is this wider piece about supporting economic development that is key, supporting that green transition in a way that really benefits people is also really key. And so that's also a big part of, we don't want to move backwards. We want to make sure that we have diverse voices really shaping how we move forward as an organization, but also how communities move forward as an organization, and also how the sustainable development agenda is shaped and what are the solutions in that. We need diverse voices from all different countries, from all different backgrounds, and certainly from a gender diversity perspective as well. And that's that's key. That's key for us, is how do we bring that diversity of voices into shaping the future.
I couldn't agree with you even more. So I see Emily in the chat box. She says, wow, I would like to join the program, especially wellness, such as mental health for employees at work, how to manage their personal stress, which affects them at work, and also the transparency of diversity and inclusion to the employees. And I would have to agree, Emily. So the program, the fellowship does include a mental health aspect, but indeed we need to really be prepared for the workplace so that we don't have those overwhelming stresses that actually make us just shut down and not actually work efficiently. Just checking if we have any other comments. All right, just a lot of good evening, ladies. So we do have a really good number of people watching us, and thank you once again for joining us, everyone. Just to close off, looks like we have 4 minutes left of our amazing chat. How can our audience find out more about De Beers Group and the impactful work that you're doing all around the world?
So, for old people like me, it's definitely website, debeersgroup.com. Also on Instagram as De Beers Group. The jewelry's De Beers Official. But yes, those channels certainly will be sharing information regularly. We have just released our sustainability report as well. So for people who want a little bit more detail, that is available on the website too.
Amazing. And we have the website there, just in case you needed to know how to spell it. It is there for you. Wow. Thank you so much, Shahila. I really enjoyed having this really insightful and deep conversation with you to find a little bit more about what De Beers Group is doing outside of the diamonds that we see on a week-to-week basis. So thank you so much for your time, and thank you to the audience for joining us for this conversation. If you do have any questions, do drop them in the chat. This will be saved for reference. You can rewatch it and enjoy the conversation we had once again. And with that, I will be signing off here from WomHub, and we will see you on our next live stream, which will be in 2 weeks from now. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.